Hi guys, today we're going to look at making simple beats in Ableton. Ableton is a really fantastic music making software that's used by a lot of producers and musicians. It's a great way to get started making music. If you just type in learningmusic.ableton.com, you'll get to this website. Now you'll see 16 boxes here, and this is just a really fun little program that will get you making some music straight away. So let's click on the top 4 lines and see what happens. So each of these little boxes contain different melodies, different chords and different bass lines. So just have an experiment and try and bring in different ones at different times. If you're making music, one of the main things you have to think about is how do you begin your piece? Do you start off with the drums or start off with the bass? So try different things. I'm going to do a quick one, starting off with drums, bringing in the bass, the chords and the melodies. And then I'm going to slowly bring each of them out to try and create a bit of a breakdown. So try that yourself and see what you come up with. So if you scroll down the page, you'll see a button here called Make Beats. So that's where we're going to actually find out how to write our own drum music. So you should see something like this. And this is a grid of 16 boxes from left to right and 4 instruments: a kick drum, a clap, a closed hat and an open hat. And these are just all the different sounds layered across 16 beats. So let's just press play and see what it sounds like. Yours might look different to mine. So have a bit of an experiment and try and take some of these out and put some new ones in and see what you come up with. There's really nothing wrong you can do here. Anything will sound interesting and sound good. So as you can see, as the little lines go along and it loops and loops, you can put in more stuff and take out anything you want. So have a bit of fun and mess around with it, see what you can come up with. So a really important part of producing music is choosing the right kind of sounds, because that can completely change what kind of music you make. For example, certain sounds will sound more like dance music, and then certain other sounds will sound more like rock music or pop music. So have a listen to these two and see what you think. What kind of music would you associate those kinds of sounds with? And now let's have a listen to this one. Can you hear the difference? So if you want to scroll down, and you can pause this video and have a read of the next part, they'll just explain the difference between all the instruments that we have here. Okay, so we've got all of our electronic sounds: kick, clap, closed hi-hat, open hi-hat, kick, snare, closed hi-hat, open hi-hat. So which of these ones do you reckon would sound better for dance music, and which of the ones do you reckon would sound better for indie music or pop music? It can be really important when you're making your own tracks to get the drum sound right. And if you go on from this to use the proper Ableton program, you'll find there's so many different sounds there, and you can really make everything unique and unique to your own sound. So when you're making your own music, the beat and the tempo in particular is really important, because different tempos can really change what your music's going to sound like. So tempo is measured in beats per minute, or BPM. So if we're talking about a piece of music that's at 120 BPM, it means that there's 120 beats every minute. So we're just going to do as it says here and add a kick on the 1, the 5, the 9 and the 13. And this has its own common name, 4 on the floor. This is what you'll hear in a lot of dance music, and it'll sound pretty familiar. Now, I'm going to add in some hi-hats. And let's hear the difference as the tempo gets slower. So can you relate that to how it would relate to different kinds of musics? Usually when we're making music, we don't really want to go below anywhere below 50, and we're not really looking to go anywhere above 200 because they just sound really fast. I'll give an example now. If you get really fast or really slow, it becomes hard to kind of distinguish what's happening in the music. So like I mentioned just there, the tempo has a massive effect on the genre of your music. So as it mentions here, different types of music, dub, hip-hop, house, techno, dubstep, drum and bass, will be at different tempos. So usually dub is a little bit slower, hip-hop and grime would be a little bit quicker than that, 60 to 100, house a bit faster than that, and so on. So we're going to play a little drum beat here, and we'll just see what happens when we go between these BPMs. So as you can hear, as it speeds up, it's starting to sound a little bit more like dance music. Then the faster you go, it sounds more and more like drum and bass. Can you hear that that sounds a little bit more like drum and bass? It went from hip hop to drum and bass. Now if you wanted that to sound a bit more like typical dance music, what we would do is we would move the kick drum back on to the 1, the 5, the 9 and the 13, and that gives us our solid 4 on the floor, which is used a lot in dance music. So let's just see how that sounds. Can you hear the difference between that and something like this? So where we put the kick drum can completely change the flavour of the music, and I definitely say just experiment with putting the kick drum wherever you like, and you can hear it'll sound different, and you'll start hearing different genres of music in it. A backbeat is one of the most common beats that we'll hear in dance music. So if you'd like to pause this video and then enter the 4 on the floor in the kick drum and the 5 and the 13 on the clap and see what that sounds like. So that's a pretty common beat. Now if we want to put in some extra kick drums, we can kind of make it a bit more interesting because it's a little bit bland like that. So try putting one in on the 16 and see what that sounds like. It's kind of giving the song a bit more swing. It's kind of feels a bit more funky, if you know what I mean. And once you've got this down, you can try experimenting by putting in some of your hi-hats and your open hi-hats to add a bit more flavour and make it a bit more interesting. So if you want to pause this video and just add in hi-hats and open hi-hats in different parts, you can really experiment with something that sounds good. Okay, hopefully you've added in some hi-hats. Let's see what this sounds like. Can you hear that by taking out some of the hi-hat beats, it can kind of make it sound a little funkier and a little groovier? A common mistake people make when they're writing music is they keep on adding and adding to it. Sometimes it can be important to take stuff away as well and to minimize it. So next time you're having trouble with writing music, try and take something away and see if that helps. Okay, so this section is called bars, and all the patterns that we've looked at so far are 16 semi-quavers long. That's 4 beats, and that's called a bar. So we have 2 of these together. That's 2 bars. So we've got 32 in total. So if you want to pause this video and try making one beat on this side and then a different one on this side and see what you come up with and try and change them as much as you can. Okay, so I've got 2 different bits here, and let's just see what this sounds like. So I've used less closed hi-hats in this bit, more open hi-hats, just to give a bit of a difference between the 2 parts. Usually when you're writing a song, you'll have a verse and a chorus, and changing the drum beat between the verse and the chorus can be a good way to create a bit more interest and a bit more variation between the 2 parts. So beat examples. We're going to look at the difference between rock beats and house beats. So first of all, we'll notice that rock is generally a little bit slower than house music, and the kick drum is usually on the 1 and the 3, and the hi-hats are on the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and this is a really simple rock beat. And then the house beat, we can see that the kick is on the 1, the 2, the 3 and the 4, and the hi-hat would be on what we call the offbeat. So let's see what that sounds like. Also notice that it's a little bit quicker. So you can really see the effect that tempo, kick drum placement and the type of drum kit you use has on whether something sounds like dance music or sounds like rock music. So why don't you try moving around some of the notes and see if you can get the rock one to sound like dance music and the dance one to sound like rock music. So here we've got a video of the famous song Wheel Rocky by Queen. So if you want to pause this video and play the song, you can have a listen and look down here and see how that relates to the kick and snare pattern that's going on. Now a fun thing is if we added our own hi-hat line onto this simple drum beat, you could see how it changes from going from like a rock beat to maybe something more like hip hop. So if you want to try that and see what you can come up with. Okay, so I've had it in some hi-hats here, and we'll just have a listen and see how that's changed what the music sounds like. So it's kind of gone from sounding like rock to more like hip hop, and it just shows you that the choice of your drums, electronic drums in this case, and adding a bit of hi-hats can really change what your music sounds like. So in this part we've got Single Ladies by Beyonce. Now we've got the grid down here which shows us the drum pattern that's being played in the song, and it's going to ask us to put the snare drum in that. So if you want to pause this video, have a listen to the song and see if you can think where the snare drum goes in this pattern. Alright, if you said that it goes here, then you're correct. So if you count along with the music video, you can hear that the snare is on beat 4 and, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 and. So it's halfway through the 4th beat, and that's where the snare goes. Okay, so in this final bit, we've got a new button here, which is the record button. And what that's going to do if we press it, it's going to give us a little click on the 1, the 2, the 3 and the 4. And whatever we play with these different pads will be recorded into this grid. So let's see what that sounds and looks like. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I was a little bit late with this last one, but I can just simply delete that one and hit that one in there. And have a play around, record some stuff in, put some hi-hats in, open hi-hats, snare drums, kick drums, and just see what you can come up with and have a bit of fun. Also have a think that if you're going to make a hip-hop beat, kind of think about what you would do with the hi-hats and what tempo it would be at. And then if you're going to make a dance music beat, try and think about what you would do with the kick drum and the clap, and also what tempo that would be at as well. So making beats is the kind of first step of producing music, but it's one of the most important things to learn. And if you've enjoyed doing this, then feel free to head over to the Ableton website, where you can download a trial version of the real Ableton software. This is just a very easy introduction to how it works, but you'll be able to make so much more in the Ableton program itself. Hope you've enjoyed it. Cheers.